Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for joining me. Today I am joined by YouTube sensation Rainer Birkle. You might know him. He's done many videos in German and also in English with many kind of superstars of the game such as Dirk, Schiemann, Thomas Tenland. Definitely go and check out his channel also. Welcome Rainer. Thank you for joining me today.
Hi Dan, thanks for the invitation. I'm very proud to be here and to share some ideas and especially about the Anki method and yeah, thanks for the invitation.
More than welcome. So yes, Rainer today is going to talk us through the Anki method. And now this is a talk he gave at Cyprus, the big Cyprus Merit Tournament. And he piqued my interest, and I'm sure it will pique your interest also. So I'm going to hand over to Rainer to explain what the Anki method is.
Thanks, Dan. Yeah, the Anki method. So basically, for me, it's the next level of analyzing your matches. I think pretty everyone is, or all serious players study their matches after they played them. Usually with the XG analyzing, and this is just the next step for me, and I will explain later on why I think this step is so useful for serious players. So maybe just a few words about myself. Yeah, as you already said, my name is Rainer Birkle, and I already played backgammon I started playing backgammon in the mid-80s and played for around 15 years or tournaments all over the world. And in 1999, I more or less from one day to the other, I stopped playing backgammon. So I did not touch a checker for pretty much exactly 20 years. So in 2019, there was my comeback, which is also my nickname on Galaxy or on Heroes. And yeah, why did I come back? Many times, best friend of mine, Patrick, asked me in between, "Oh, shouldn't we go to some tournament just to see how it is?" And I always said, "No, I'm not interested." I just, yeah, was not so. I was a little bit disappointed at the end of my first part of my career. And I didn't like the game. I didn't like the attitude of many players. It was all about the money and all about getting the money of the other players, and I just didn't like it. And also, I was a little bit disappointed because I had not the success I think at that time I deserved. But today, in retrospective, I know it was not bad luck. It was just I overestimated my skills by a lot.
Yes.
So, and yeah, what happened? After backgammon, I played bridge for several years. And after bridge, I took up magic as a hobby, especially card magic. And then I was looking for another hobby, and I thought maybe I will begin with chess again, which I played in my youth time. And I watched some videos, some chess videos on YouTube, and the algorithm was very active there and very precise, and also suggested backgammon all of a sudden. And at that time, in 2019, there was the first UPC final, Mochi against Sanders, which we will get the next take in a few days. And yeah, and I immediately saw, wow, this is a completely different game that I knew from the past. I already saw this PR thing and the new software, and that it was not only about winning, it was about playing well, and yeah, it was more like a sport, not like gambling, which it was in the past. And from then, it took just a few videos. So thanks to Mark Olsen for his very good work. And he's more or less the reason why I'm back in the game. I don't know without these videos if I would have ever found my way back. So thanks to Mark. And of course, I got the XG and played on Galaxy and later on Heroes. And from then, yeah, it was clear that that's a hobby which I want to play around with the rest of my life. And yeah, so my father is in the he will get to 95 in a few days. Wow. So I have pretty good genes, and so I estimate that I have at least 40 years left.
Yeah. Before Rainer, what held your interest with backgammon? You said you played chess and you took on magic, but what was it particularly about backgammon which was your calling, your kind of chosen path?
So I'm a little bit strange, I think, because I always have only one hobby at a time, and I always put all the effort, all my free time on it. And so in my youth time, I played chess, and I realized I will not make it to the top. That was clear. Mm-hmm. So I started, I think, with 15, which to become a really strong player is way too late. And it was more or less because I wanted to find something where I at least can imagine that I can get really good. Of course, it turned out differently, but yeah, this was the main reason why I stopped playing chess and looked for something else.
I see.
And at that time, it was not so easy to see how difficult it really is. It was pre-bot time, so at that time, I thought reading some books and then that's it, and then you are a strong player. But
yeah, well, backgammon is very paradoxical. It's easy when you know nothing, but when you know a lot, it's very difficult.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, as you see here, in 2019, I started with a PR around 6.6, and now I'm in the low fives, so 5.2, 5.3. So all my games end up in my XG profile. So I play no matches without recording and without analyzing and putting it in the profile. So
yeah,
I think it's sometimes funny if you ask other players, even stronger ones, what's your PR? What kind of, I think, funny answers you get. Something like, oh, I play around between, and you get the funniest ranges. So for me, I even look at the second digit after the comma I'm aware of. So that's how focused or maybe over focused I am on my PR. So yeah, and it was clear from the beginning for me that I'm only playing against myself. I only want to get better. I look on my PR, and that's the only thing I care about. So I only want to play good or better. And the outcome of a single match, I really don't care too much about. And yeah, then I realized in beginning of 2021 that I'm kind of stuck and I cannot make much more improvement, it seems. And then I was looking for a new method, a new training method. And I came up with the idea, why not record your matches and speak out what you think during the game, so that later on, when I analyze my matches with XG, I have also this valuable source that I can look at the video and see how long it took thinking or saying at that time. That was the basic idea. So it was not about, oh, I want to become a YouTuber. So the idea was just recording videos. Then I thought, oh, how can I share this with my friends to get their opinion on some of the videos? And then I thought, oh, maybe I make unlisted YouTube videos. And all of a sudden I thought, oh, what the heck? Let's do it public and start, just start a channel. And yeah, that's so the main reason for my channel is really quite egoistic. It was just another method to become a better player. So it was not all about the viewers. This came later, of course. This changed quite quickly, but the first idea was just another training method, which by itself, I have to admit, did not work that good as I thought. So I don't think I did become better because of recording my videos. So for me, it did not work. But still, it was a very valuable experience, and I'm really happy that I did it, because I made so many new friendships, and it is so much fun. And yeah.
I mean, that is certainly one thing I will vouch for. Having my own channel like yours, getting guests on like yourself or other top players. I mean, you really see the kind of the community of Backgammon, and
Yeah.
how kind many people are in offering their time and
Absolutely.
their knowledge,
Yeah.
and that's been really beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for me, it started all. The big game changer for the channel was when Markus Reinhardt, which I did not know before, commented on one of my videos, and pretty soon after we had a phone call and we became friends super fast. And he's such a super nice guy. And he said, "Do you know what? I will get Zenek Siska on your show." And I said, haha, sure. Zenek Siska, #1 on Galaxy at that time. For me, this was, he is an absolute superstar, and I couldn't believe it. And I think 2 or 3 weeks later, he was on the show and we played a match. So exactly what you said. There are so many super strong players who really support you. And yeah, they are so nice. It's really, really amazing.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely. And talking about Marcus Reinhardt, as you mentioned, he actually sent me a video of him rapping about backgammon, which was very entertaining because two of my interests are backgammon and hip hop. So it was a great combination. So I like that a lot. Yeah.
So you did get the first version, which was in German with English subtitles, or did you?
I think so. I think it was our one. Yeah.
Because I don't know if I'm allowed to say it, but I say it now. There is a new version with English original text from the singer.
Oh, amazing!
So I hope he will release it pretty soon. After I said it now it's public. He has to, I think.
Yeah, there's definitely a market for backgammon related hip hop.
Yeah. And he's doing so many things, and he created the music and the text, and it's amazing. Yeah. Yeah. Then a big change came in for me in December last year. So Anki for me it's pretty much 1 year now. We have this German-speaking community on Discord server, which is called Backgammon Prime. So it's like a Backgammon forum. And last year in December, one member, Stefan Gumbert, he mentioned something in the public chat. I'm learning something with Anki and Backgammon. And luckily enough, I put this up and immediately Googled for it and found what it is. So Anki is basically a digital flashcard program. So we all know this from school times earlier. When we have to learn something, we made little papers with a question on the front and the answer on the back.
Yeah.
So, for example, for learning vocabulary, it's an ideal procedure. And this is, of course, a lot more possibilities since it's digital. And this is the basic idea, digital flashcards. And I immediately saw the potential for Backgammon. And this, from there on. So I started with Anki, make simple cards and created for my blunders and errors. I created these cards. And it was very nice. But the huge problem was that it took a lot of time to create these cards, to do it by hand. So I'm not playing that much, but so after playing one match, and the next day I wanted to create these cards, it took me 1 hour just for creating these cards. Not for learning or studying, just the procedure to make the screenshots and to create the cards. And so the next big change was in August, where I found a method to automate this process. So which means I'm now in the stage where I can just enter XG position files or match files, and the cards will get created so to speak, by magic. So no, no time needed for me to create this stuff manually. So this was a big change in August. So you see, it's all still pretty new. And then the next big change was, and again, I have to mention here Markus Reinhardt. So after he saw the first version of this product, he said, "You have to give a talk in Cyprus." And I said, "Yeah." Similar like when he said, "Then Xiska will be on your show." I said, "Yeah, sure." Such a huge tournament, and me, the PR 5 or 6 guy, will give a talk here, and people like Michi will listen. Sure, this will never happen. And it happened again. So he talked with Ada, and yeah, I was there. I think there were around 90 or 100 people in this little cinema hall at Cyprus, and I gave this talk. And yeah, it was also recorded, and I'm pretty sure that you will put the link to the recording in the description, or even the link to this PowerPoint, so people who have not seen it can see the recording from my seminar, Anki seminar in Cyprus. So of course this was really, yeah, really exciting. If you see so many people in the audience and so many super strong people who are listening, so this is, yeah, it meant a lot to me. Yeah, and what's the next goal? So I was asked during the seminar in Cyprus, someone asked me, how much did your PR improve since you used this method? And I had to admit, well, I said that it took me a lot of time to develop this method, because there are unbelievable many details you have to take care of to get this done, that everything works fine and you get these cards created automatically. So it took me a lot of time. So almost all my spare time went into this project. And this was my excuse why I could say I did not improve that much till then. But I said, you should ask me next time in Cyprus, so next year. So this is a big thing. I have to be considerably better than my 5.2 next year. That's my big goal. And if not, I have a huge problem. Either I have to admit that I have no talent at all for this game, or that the method is not working, which I'm still really strongly believe that this is the perfect method especially for advanced players to get better. So this is my goal.
And Rainer, let me just stop you for a moment. How do you define an advanced player?
Yeah, I think in this context, I would define an advanced player who is already recording and analyzing his matches, and being quite serious about it.
Okay.
So as I said before, this is the next step. If you already do that, if you don't care about your matches so far, maybe you should first start with that.
Sure.
Yeah. But so advanced is if you're serious about your game and you regularly analyze your matches with Extreme Gammon. This is I think the perfect audience or customers, I would say. But we will see later on that we have also decks available just to learn something, not from your own mistakes, but for example, these theme decks from Dirk Schiemann, where you have a deck for different position types. Yeah. So this is also more maybe for intermediate players and even for beginners. Find it useful. Okay, so this is my goal. I have to focus. So in 2023, in November, will be Cyprus, and this is the deadline. I have to be below 5. And many of my viewers will smile when I say here below 5, because I had, for quite a long time, I had on my channel this goal, be with me on my way to PR 4.5. This was my goal. And I realized yeah, the lower you get, the harder it is to improve, of course. And,
of course, yeah.
So I'm now a little bit more realistic and say I want to be clearly below 5. Let's say it like that.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, I'm not talking about everybody, or not everybody, but it's easy to play some matches. But I'm talking about overall, not just last 10 matches. Everybody can have a good run, maybe, but that's not your average 10 matches or things like that.
Yeah, you need a larger sample size.
Yeah.
Really. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what's the basic idea? And the basic idea, and I really mean it, that every blunder is a really awesome opportunity for you to improve your game. So I know sometimes it can get frustrating because XG only tells us what we are doing wrong. Because as strong as it plays, XG has no idea what's difficult for us humans. So he has no chance to praise us for doing something well, because maybe for the machine, if the second best action is 200 millipoint error or a blunder, for the machine it's a trivial problem. Mm-hmm. But many of them are for us humans, depending on your level, of course, it's maybe a quite difficult decision. And if you got it right, you should get some kind of praise but that's what the machine cannot do. And it can be quite frustrating because we only look at our errors, but there is something good. And I really mean it, that the blunder, and the bigger the blunder it is, if you have a real big blunder, let's say 200, 300, even more millipoints, and if it's a position which is not some kind of freak position, which will never come up something similar again. But if it's a normal position, let's say, and if you have make a real big blunder, and it was not an oversight, it was really, you thought this is the best. Mm-hmm. And if you can fix something like that, a blunder of 200, 300 or more millipoints, then you really have improved your game by quite a lot.
Yeah.
And that's why I think we should be happy to see blunders detected, because this is a really good opportunity. If you work on them, you can really, and sometimes quite easily, improve your game if you can fix this. Mm-hmm. But then, what is the main problem when you try to learn from your mistakes? And as I found out, that often you just don't get it on the first try. And what I mean by that is that I have analyzed my matches, as I think really every serious player is doing, and then you go through your mistakes, then you see your XG results, and you try to find some kind of explanation and to explain more or less the XG numbers. Mm-hmm. And you think about it, maybe you do some changes in the position or in the score, whatever you do. You take some time, maybe 5-10 minutes after the match, until you go to the next error. And then you say, okay, I got it now. And I'm pretty sure, at least for me, that's not the case. So if I look at a position like that again, a week or two later, I often have to realize that I make the same mistake again. Which means, it's not so easy, and you have to do something more.
Yes.
And it was kind of funny. I watched your interview with Ryan Rebello with this really tough checker play problems. And for me, I was always thinking, Ryan did some mistakes, which could happen to everybody, and even he is a really, really top player. Mm-hmm. But the problems were difficult. And you always asked, after he got the wrong answer, and you showed the XG results, you asked him immediately, why is this correct? And I think this is really, even for a top player like Ryan, is really tough, because you just thought about this problem, made a decision, and now you see you screwed it up. And then you see the numbers, and you asked him, give me the reason. And I think it's, even for the best players, I think most of the time they need a little bit more time or analyzing and thinking before they really get why the original decision was wrong, because it's not so easy to learn so fast. Now I thought this was the best, and now I see the results. It's clear, and I don't think that it's so easy.
Yeah, but maybe they are back to front. Maybe the why should come before the move, rather than afterwards.
Yeah. So. Yeah, but I really I pitied Ryan a little bit, because for me I felt hard for him, and because he said, "Why is it? Was it wrong now? Explain now." This is really I thought, wow. It's the problems were really not easy, were really tough, and and to find explanations why the machine thinks it's completely different, or why the other action is correct. I think we need a little bit more time, and at least I found this is why my analyzing of my matches is not so effective, because I only go through them once, and then usually, okay, I did some, as many of us do as well, that we of our bigger mistakes, maybe we save the files and have some kind of folder structures and by position type or whatever. But most of the time, at least in my case, I did only look at the position once, and then I missed my chance to improve my game because I did not really understand it.
It seems to me, Rainer, that we're talking about moving from short-term memory to long-term memory. And that seems to be a way of really embedding that information to prevent the same mistakes happening again in the future.
Yeah, or sometimes we are too fast in saying, "No, I got it. That's it," because we see the results, and of course, we always see arguments. We saw the same arguments before, but we judge them differently in comparison, maybe. And and it's not about memorizing. It's just about but I always say, so with Anki, no blunder will ever get forgotten, because it will reappear at some time. And then you have to prove, and the best thing you can do, to have really a bad memory. Because if you just remember, this was this position and the solution was X, for example, this will not help you a lot. The best thing that can happen is that you forget the position or the solution, but you see the position and you find now the right
thinking
action. Without just remembering, because just remembering, okay, if you talk about reference positions, that is a thing where you want really to memorize stuff. But with your usual blunders, you don't want to memorize really the position. You want to learn the reason behind it, that you find the correct solution in similar positions. That's the idea.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what you're trying to memorize, the reasons, the rationale, the logic behind the position, because then you can apply that same logic to similar positions, right?
Yeah. So what's the conclusion? The conclusion is that we need repetition. It's only going through this problem once, and then it's just not enough. And maybe we need to work more on the position. So if I see the position a second time or a third time, and I still realize A, I'm not sure, or B, I even make a mistake, so I know I have to do something. And to do something may mean that I really think about the position, add some more comments. So writing things down will help a lot, which you can also do in Anki, that you add your notes, or that you create more similar positions with small changes or different match scores, or that you ask your friend, talk about the position, or ask your coach if you have one. But at least this problem is not fixed. I have to do something. And and then the next question is, what should you study? So I'm pretty sure if you ask 10 people, you get at least 11 answers. If you ask them what you should study, some would say you should study backgammons or containments or whatever kind of answers. So my answer is quite simplistic, but I really mean it. You should study really things that matter, that have an importance. So, and then of course the question is, what matters? And for me, obviously, positions where making error is very expensive, so usually big blunders. Mm-hmm. These are things that matter, of course. Then also positions that come up quite frequently, mm-hmm. like opening positions. And so my recommendation, or what I'm using at the moment, is that I study my blunders and my opening errors. And to be honest, I also did this changed a little bit. At the beginning, I just used the normal threshold for blunders of 80 millipoints. So everything, cube action or tracker play with 80 millipoints or more, one Anki card was created. And for opening decisions, I created one for all errors, so 20 millipoints or more. Yeah. This was my starting point, and the idea was clear. I want to fix the big things and the things that come up often, so opening errors and all other blunders. But then I realized with my level, I get too many cards. The problem is, it's really here, quality is way more important than quantity.
Absolutely. It's interesting you talk about the opening errors, because I recently did a video on XG, a training exercise where you just play the first 5 moves of the game out.
I saw this, yeah.
Yeah, and it's amazing actually, just in the opening 5 moves, how many errors can come up in just the opening moves. Yeah.
Yeah, and studying the opening is really important. Mm-hmm. It's really important. So. Then I realized I have to change this, and that's the settings I use at the moment. Of course, this is really depends on your actual playing level, and even though I'm not playing that much, so I would say from my backgammon time, I do not play more than 5%. Mm-hmm. The rest is studying, and even with that. With the original settings, there too many cards. I realized I cannot handle this. So I changed this really, and as you saw, I'm in the low 5s, but I still have more than enough cards to study if I only go through cube errors 200 millipoints or more, mm-hmm. checker play 100, and opening errors 50. That are my current settings. Yeah, and this is the other side of the same coin. You should not waste your time with some freak positions or small errors except opening. The thing is, with XG, you get so many data, and you have to filter out what's important. Yeah, and it's so easy. And of course, there are many interesting things. Yeah, why is this 5 millipoints better? And you can learn a lot, I'm pretty sure. Yeah. But you have to focus on the important stuff. Mm-hmm. And if you care about in the middle game why this is 20 or 30 millipoints, and you have not the time to really work on your big issues, then you are just wasting time. And we all, or almost all, have just limited time.
Absolutely. So what you're saying, Rainer, is start with the bigger mistakes first, basically.
Yeah. Okay, then how to study. So I started with Anki. This is clear, the answer. And when I started, my first cards looked like that. At the front, I just put a screenshot from the XG position, and on the back side, I added the results. That was my first deck, looked like that. At that time, I studied on heroes with the 4th roll, and I created a deck with all my things I got wrong when I did the 4th roll quiz on Backgammon Studio. And this is what you can do. You can download Anki, and that's the simplest thing you can do. Question, position, answer, the result. That's how I started. And yeah, how, and this of course developed by the time. And here I show you an example how my cube action cards look at the moment. So we always have the score, and we have this multiple choice list, and we have the position and the pip count. And then you can think about it. You can enter A, B, C, or D, either it's here for cube action or for checker play, as we see later on. Or you can just click on show answer. So many people said to me at the beginning, I have not this possibility to enter something, but there are quite a few. First Thorsten Lux, and then later on Dirk Schiemann convinced me that it would be nice to have some multiple choice, especially for checker play decisions.
Yeah.
And it's always nice if you enter it and you get some kind of positive feedback. Yeah, and you see here in green that that your answer was correct. Yeah? For example.
It's interesting there you've done a comparison. So neutral score, do you mean money game of a neutral score?
Indeed, in the first versions, I labeled this money game without Jacobi. So what I mean is here 0-0 in a very long match, which basically, and here are the results. It's just money game without Jacobi. Okay. But I changed this to neutral score because that's what I mean by that. And and to avoid the discussion, why do we use money game without Jacobi? Because every money, or almost every money game is played with Jacobi to get away this, or to avoid this discussion. Because of course here you, even on the cube on one, you have sometimes the issue that, or the problem that if you want to play on for the gammon, and if you had with Jacobi, so it's, for me, it's I'm not a money game player, so for me it's a really important reference point. So I think it's very useful to have always see the neutral score, because then you clearly see, did I mess up the position because I did not understand the position, or did I over adjust or under adjust the match score, or sometimes it's both.
Well, it's interesting because I recently did a video with Alec Barr about adjusting blitz cubes at different scores. So this kind of shows you the adjustment can change a cube action massively in some cases. Really, really interesting.
So I think it's really important that when you get here your errors and blunders from your matches, that you do not only look at the actual match score, that you always check in comparison the neutral score. I think that's really important. And here just the same. Here I answered wrongly. Then you see here in red always your answer, and you can create the correct answer on the left side here. And then now it's where the Anki algorithm, or the spaced repetition algorithm, comes into play. It does not really matter what you entered here and if you got it right or wrong. What matters here is here now your judgment. Or you can even just click on show answer here without entering if you are in the mood. What's important now is here that you honestly judge, was it super difficult? Then you click on again. Or was it a tough one? Maybe you got it right, but you flipped your coin maybe and it got lucky. And you can say hard, or you can say good. Then it was you're pretty confident with this, or you say it was super easy. And depending on how old this card is, on what happened with this card in the past, you see here this interval. So in this case, if I press hard, this card would show up again in 4 days. But this can change from card to card. This is just here an additional information, what will happen with this card. So if I say here easy, this card will be shown in 22 days. So if it's the first card, it's the first time this card will be shown, so a new card, this will be here, I think, 4 days if you say easy, and 2 days if good, and 1 day if hard, and 2 hours. But it depends on, you can also change this in your Anki settings.
Okay.
But this is all. So this is the important thing. Here you have to be honest to yourself, and whatever you click here, it will influence when this card will show up again. Okay, that's the cube action, and there's even more. I have also added the dice distribution information from XG, which may be helpful.
Very useful at times, yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. And which I did not have from the beginning, but I pretty soon realized it's a simple thing, but it makes extending your cards very easy. That you have a field where you just enter the XG XG ID, which means if you want to advance or enhance your card and you want to do something in XG, you don't have to enter the position again. You just copy and paste your XG ID, copy here and paste in XG, and you have the position and can make your modifications in match score or the position by itself. So this is really helpful. So you can easily transfer it to XG and make some other analyzing.
Yeah.
Because usually cards develop. As I mentioned before, it's after creating this card, it's not done. You will extend it with nodes, with comparable positions or things like that, until you have really got it done. Yeah, and what I also use is the tags. So each card has some tags which you can later on use for filtering, which again is a very powerful feature, especially for freaks like us. So for example, here you see there's all automatically tagged if it's a cube action or checker play. And if it's cube action, there's also a tag double, no double, or take pass. And also the match score is tagged. You see here opponent 13 away, player 9 away. The error size is tagged. So in my case, I have the interval between 20 and 50, then 1580, 1800, and then every 100.
Yeah.
And which means I can later easily filter and say, give me all my take pass errors more than 300 millipoints with these tags. And this is quite useful. Or even you can say my take pass errors at 4 away, 2 away. So the possibilities are endless here with this tags. And of course, the player name is tagged and the position type.
Yeah.
So here he recognized that it's an opening positions. Yeah, that's the cube. And of course, we also have checker play issues. Then it looks like that. I automatically create here these four possibilities or multiple choice list. So there's always included the original move from the match.
Okay.
And then from the top four, the top three from the list.
Yeah.
So these are the top 4 or the top 3 plus your error if you don't make the move that was in the top 4 list. Yeah, then in this case I guessed right with D, and then you see on the answering screen the original list again, and you see you choose D, and D is correct. It's in bold print, and you also have the result here. And same as for cube action, where I think it's very important as a tournament player that you always compare it with your neutral score. So for checker play, I found it very important to always check in these standard situations: money game, DMP, gammon save, and gammon go. Because there's so much to learn from this. And of course, you could do this if you're interested in XG, but it's so valuable to always see this on one view here, on one screen.
Yeah.
And often there are surprises you would not have guessed. Of course, sometimes it's boring because you see it's clearly the best move in all 4 cases. But yeah.
It's very helpful for an advanced player, and it actually makes me think of Nak Ballard, who often on Facebook in the Backgammon forum, he puts up these comparative positions where you can see how the checker play changes depending on gammon go, gammon save. So really, really instructive, that slide. Yeah.
And for example, in my case, I in the past few weeks after Cyprus, I found out something very interesting, which I think will help me. In Cyprus, between the matches, I played often one-pointers on heroes against my girlfriend. And we played, I think, in this week, 21 pointers. And I realized that I had a way too good PR. So I think it was 2.5 or 2.7, so way below my average. And of course, it's clear that we all know DMP is easier because you have no cube actions, and we do a lot of cube errors, of course. But also we know that XG already handles this a little bit because he adds, I think, 50% to your errors in DMP.
Yeah.
But still, there was a big difference. So I checked my in XG on your profile. You see 2 separate PRs for checker play and for cube decisions.
Yeah.
And my cube PR is something like 4 point something. So it was still, if you exclude the cube errors, it was still interesting that this PR was way below my normal checker play. So there has to be something else going on. And I realized that I way too often, so I obviously have problems with gammons. And I realized that I made way too often the DMP or the gammon safe play.
Yeah.
So that was a clear bias, which I try to work on now. I don't know exactly how, but at least this I found out because it was really interesting because, yeah, playing a non-serious game on your mobile against your girlfriend, you would not imagine that you are. Well, of course, I did not want to mess it up. That was clear, but it was not under tournament conditions. So,
particularly against your girlfriend.
Sure. Yeah. So to come back to this topic here, I think it's really valuable to always see here this on one view, these 4 situations to get a deeper understanding of the checker plays. Yeah? And
absolutely.
Yeah, because very often they are not, the best move is not the same for all 4 cases, and there's a lot to learn from.
Yes.
Get a better understanding. Okay, there's another thing. What I added to the Anki cards. You saw in the previous position diagrams that you immediately saw the pip count below the diagram. And you can activate what I call the Pip Count Trainer. And I have several options or configurations which you can influence or change by changing the name of the deck. So if you put something in square brackets at the end of the name, for here example, at the end of the deck name in square brackets P activates the Pip Count Trainer. So you see, if this card shows up, you don't see the pip count immediately. You see this button, show pip count, and you see a counter here, which counts up to 60. And the idea was, we all know that we play a lot of online backgammon, but if you prepare for a real life backgammon tournament, pip count is an issue because you are used to having this available without thinking, without doing anything.
Yeah.
And we know, especially through the bots, how important the pip count is. Even for checker play, it matters if you are 5 pips ahead or 5 pips behind. So pip count is a really important thing. And so I said I want to practice as well with Anki and to make it a little bit more realistic. And at least for me, it worked. This stupid little timer here that is ticking has some influence on you. It stresses you a little bit. So it emulates a little bit the clock that you have in real time, in real life backgammon. So the idea is, you see here just this going up to 60, that it stops, and you make your pip count, and then you click on or tap on show pip count, and then you'll see the pip count and how long it took. Okay. So the idea is two things are, I think, important: accuracy and the time you need. And you can practice this and control this really good, because it's so easy to miss, to say, I do the pip count in 30 seconds. You better check if they are 30 seconds. Yeah? And time is very limited, especially in tournament backgammon. And then it's really important that you get your pip count done. I think you should be able to do it in 30 seconds. I know there are people who are way faster, but to be comfortable in a tournament situation where you don't have that much time, I think your goal should be, as a serious tournament player, to get it done correctly in 30 seconds or less. That's at least my goal.
Yeah, it's a good target.
Yeah. So, and here we will not go through all, of course. This just shows a big list. Because the thing is, of course, I do this. First, I started doing this templates and how these Anki decks work just for me, but I realized that different people have different opinions, so you can influence how this deck behaves in via this what I call deck name or deck parameters. So, for example, if you don't like the away scores, you want to have the absolute scores. If you put an A in square brackets at the end of your deck name, it will change, and you see instead of the away scores, the absolute scores. And yeah, Pip Count Trainer we have seen, and there are a lot more things you can customize via these options. Yeah. So on this, I'm really proud of. You can also add YouTube links. For example, we used this with the theme decks with Dirk Schiemann. So he has one free sample deck, this bar split deck, where he has recorded a video. And then you see here on each of these 25 cards, you have this video link, and you can either click on the link, then you will go to your browser and see the video on YouTube, or you can even, in your app, you can click here and you go directly to the position where Dirk explains exactly this position. And this is super cool, I think. Yeah. Even though you have only on your mobile, for example, you have only a small screen, but it's more the position you already see, so it's more about the audio that's important. Yeah. And you can listen to him, and it's super cool. And what I use for what I use it as well is when I'm giving lessons to my students, I always prepare the lessons with Anki. So I created an Anki deck for them, for example, for their blunders. And then the online session will get recorded with a private YouTube video. And after the session, I quickly go through the video, change it to unlisted, and add these links to the cards. And then I give to my students this little Anki deck where he can go through it again. And if he clicks here, he gets automatically directly to the position in the video where we talked about this position. It's super cool, I think. So, yeah. So that's a nice thing. And what I've also done, so in my backgammon world, I think I don't like doing calculations over the board. I'm just too lazy. That's one of my weaknesses, of my many weaknesses, that I don't like to count shots. So I often mess up tactical positions. And what I don't want to do is calculating take points or gammon values. So my idea is to just memorize them. So I have created an Anki deck with all take points and all gammon values, and in a 7-point match. So this is also for free. So it looks like that. For example, for take points, you just get here on the front, here in this case, the question, 3-away, 3-away. Your opponent is doubling you to 2. What's your take point? Then you make your guess. And then on the answer side, you get a page like this. So your basic or raw take point here in this case is 30%. And your long race take point, so live cube, is 25. And you also see here the difference to the money game take point. So this is what Anki is made for, just to memorize stuff.
Yeah.
And I know there are different schools or different opinions, but for all who want to memorize things like that, Anki is also a perfect method. And yeah, why not use this? This is completely free. You can use it. And in case of gammon value, it looks like that. Similar, very simple. 4-way, 4-way, for example. Cube 2, what's your gammon value? And then you get something like that.
Yeah.
So if here the value, then the with decimals, the accurate value for all the freaks, or sometimes it's easier to remember some kind of freak numbers than a plain number, whatever. And the difference to money game, of course, here.
Yeah.
So if it's higher, it's in green, so it's more advantageous for you. If it's lower than in money game, then the number will be in red.
Okay. Yeah, very useful as just a refresher, or a way to remind yourself to perhaps cube earlier at different scores, for example. Yeah.
Of course, that's nothing I would recommend for a beginner or intermediate player. This is something
advanced level.
You should not focus on it too much. It's something you do maybe a few minutes a day or an hour a week. There are other things that are more important, of course. But if you want to memorize it, I would recommend this method. So the question, why using Anki? I think we already got a lot of good arguments so far. First thing is, so Anki is nothing I developed. It's just an open source program. So it's free. The only drawback is that for whatever reason, the mobile app for Apple, for iPhone, is not for free. So the desktop versions are all free, and for Android users, the app for the mobile devices is completely free. Then you have two ways to look at your positions. You have what we have already seen, this normal study mode, which uses this spade repetition algorithm, which means depending on what you click at the end, the card will reappear sooner or later. But you can also just browse through your files and use the preview and just go through your card. That's also possible. And what's really important is that Anki is a database. So which means you have the possibility of filtering with tags, as we have seen before, or with flags. And this is something I think which is really missing in a wonderful tool like XG, that you have no database inside it. So
yeah, it's true.
And what's really, really, really a highlight is that you can synchronize your devices. So you can get your Anki account. You just have, it costs nothing. You just give your email and a password. Then you have your account. And then you enter this account on your desktop app and on your mobile app. And then these two devices are synchronized, which means if I study something on my PC, enter something, press synchronize, and then later on go on my handy, press synchronize, I'm in the same situation. This is super cool. So,
brilliant.
Or you can even, which I don't use, is you go to your Anki data on a browser. So you don't have your mobile, you don't have your PC, but you are somewhere in the internet and you have your Anki address and your Anki password. You have access to your database. How cool is that? Even though I don't use it, I think theoretically, at least, it's super cool that you just need internet and a browser to get access to your complete Anki database.
Yeah, it's very useful. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really wonderful. Yeah, and for me, it's very important because I mean it. No more wasted time. So for me, time without backgammon is obviously wasted time. So
Yeah.
but I'm studying with Anki 95% of the time on my mobile device. So
I think that is a real plus, because nowadays many people use their mobile phones more than their laptops. And actually, you could be sitting on a train or waiting for a bus,
absolutely,
and just be revising. Yeah.
Yeah, that's so powerful, and that's what I call here. You get so many mini backgammon sessions during a day, which you have missed otherwise. Yeah? Because I'm waiting for something 2 or 3 minutes. I go to 1 or 2 Anki cards. Yeah? I would not have done it without Anki. So
That's what I keep saying to my kind of English students to revise their vocabulary on their mobile phones, using a similar method with flashcards. Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, it works and it helps a lot. Yeah.
And also, earlier on, we talked about the problem, so to speak, that we only talk about our mistakes, and this can put us in a difficult situation, that we get sometimes frustrated because we only see and talk about what we have done wrong. And so my idea is, why not create a deck with positions where you did something really good? So sometimes you had a match and there were some difficult positions and you got them right. Why not enter them into Anki? And just to have something, for example, before an important match, just to get you into a good mood or to get good feelings, that you see some decisions and remember how awesome you did, just to get you in a good mood. And that's important, because you can only play good backgammon if you are focused, if you are motivated. If you go on autopilot, you will never play the PR you can play.
Yeah,
so being fresh and focused and in a good mood is very important. And this, I think, may help. I have to admit, I have not tried it yet, but I think it's an awesome idea. Not because it's my idea, but I really think it's a good thing. That you also focus a little bit on because we do good things as well, even though.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it can become somewhat of a self-fulfilling prophecy, that if you're congratulating yourself, you're more likely to motivate yourself to keep studying and do better.
And it goes a little bit in the direction, I think, of meditation, where I have not so much experience with, but I think it's quite the same, where you think about positive situations and things like that. So maybe it goes in this direction. Mm-hmm. And of course, we mentioned it earlier, that when you go through your usual blunders or errors, it's not about memorizing the positions by itself, but to understand the positions. But also many people work with reference positions, and these are really positions where you really memorize the position and the results. And of course, this is a perfect method to use it.
Yeah.
And as far as I know, Mochi, who they say he has more than 500 reference positions. He's one of the players with a huge amount of reference positions, at least I heard. And I'm pretty sure that he uses Anki for that. Yeah, so how does my daily work with Anki look like at the moment? So almost all the time I practice with my mobile device. I go through the take points and gammon values, just a few minutes every day, just to learn and refresh some take points and gammon values. Then, of course, I go through my personal working deck with my blunders and opening errors. And if I find something that I have to do something, I will flag the cards here. So we have this little flag here as a marker. And I also, while editing, I may add a note. So, for example, let's see how this looks like with the back checker would be on a 20 point or something like that.
Yeah.
And then when I'm back on my PC, I can activate a filter, show me all my flag cards, and then when I have XG available, I can do an analyzing and modify this card and enter comparable position here, so that I see a similar position with a small change here, as a method to really understand the position better.
Yeah.
Or of course, if nothing helped, I have a flag then where I have cards where I want to talk with my coach about it. And this is of course also very useful if you're ready to spend money for lessons. This makes them a lot more effective. If you can tell your coach, next hour I want to talk about these 4 positions, which you really worked on, but you see you didn't get it.
Yeah.
And then you get a lot of value for your money. It's super effective instead of just letting you explain something, so to speak. Yeah, and I also go through work with Dirk's theme decks. So he has created, I think, 12 decks so far, plus the one that is for free, the bar split deck. So there are always 25 cards about one theme. And on my desktop computer, I usually use it only for creating cards and for extending the cards.
And Rainer, can I access these theme decks through your website? If I
want? Good that you asked. You can.
Good.
But the first question is, before we go to the website, how to start. And as I mentioned, very easy. There are 2 things you have to do. First, you go to the Anki site. You also have the link, and install the software you need for your operation system. So there are, of course, a version for Windows, for Mac, and for Linux, and also for the mobile devices, iPhone or Android.
Yeah.
So you have to download this. And what you should also do, it's not a must, but I think if you want to use this on more than one device, it's really helpful to create this Anki account. It's really just your email and the password, and you got it. Mm-hmm. And this enables you to synchronize your devices.
Sure.
These are the first 2 steps. And then I would recommend that you go, as you mentioned so nicely, my new website created by my best friend Patrick. And there's first of all, there's a lot of free stuff. So there are 5 decks now available completely free. One, by the way, pretty new one in Cyprus, directly after my Anki seminar, was Michi's quiz, and where there were 8 quite difficult check-up play decisions, and I asked Michi if he would allow me to create a deck from it and to share it with the community for free. So these are the 8 positions from the Cyprus 2022 Michi's quiz seminar.
Yes.
And then we have Dirk's bar split. So this is an example deck from Dirk Schiemann. So he's also not only a well-known, super strong player, he's also a coach, and he has a huge database, and he has compiled now 13 decks. One deck's always 25 positions, and this is one for free, the bar split deck. The name is because one of the options is, should I split to opponent's bar point or not? Mm-hmm. And I really would recommend that you check it out. And also, you have not only these 25 positions, you also have the video explanations by Dirk. Then you can download or ask for my normal working deck. So you see how it looks like. A deck created from my match files. Then you have this Backgammon match theory deck, which we have seen earlier with the take points and gammon values for all values and take points for the 7-point match. And I even created a very small deck because outside the 7-point match, I think it would be good to have some kind of backup to use Niels numbers, and I somehow have trouble to remember them, so I have created even a small deck with Niels numbers to help to memorize it.
Very useful.
Yeah. And next thing, so you have installed Anki, have created your account, you got your download links, and you download it, and so you have to import it. And here's a screenshot. It's from Windows, but I'm pretty sure that on Mac it looks pretty similar. So what you download is always an APKG, so Anki package file, and you open your Anki software, and then you have this button import file, and then you just choose or select the file and click OK, and that's it. And of course, always if this sync button here or menu entry is in a different color, it means something has changed. So, or at latest when you close the program, it will synchronize automatically. But if you leave your program open and you want to continue your work on maybe on your mobile device, don't forget to synchronize before you leave your desktop. Mm-hmm. And then you directly can check your mobile device, go on synchronize, and then you have the same situation, and you have the deck you have just downloaded and imported here on your desktop. Mm-hmm. Of course, you can also import it on your mobile device, but I think it's a little bit easier on the desktop version to do that. And then, so you have not spent any money yet, except if you are one of the privileged users of an iPhone. I would really recommend that you spend, I think it's around 30 euros or dollars for this app, but it's really worth it. I would pay a lot more, but luckily for me, I'm an Android user, so I got it even that for free. But then you immediately, so an Anki card always have a node type. And I have created a node type which is called Backgammon position. And these contains all the fields. As you can see here on my list, my node type has at the moment 53 database fields, so to speak. And it contains the layout. So which means you can immediately create your own deck, create a card, use as a node type the Backgammon position, and you just have to fill the positions. Yeah? You enter, you copy in the field XGID, you copy the XGID in the position, the diagram and the XG results, and so on. And you can immediately, you don't have to do all the work, you just have to enter the data, and you immediately have the same nice layout as you have seen from the decks. So you don't have to spend any money to get all this. The only thing, the question is, as I said, it is nice and it works, but it takes up some time. And if you don't want to spend that time and you still want to have all the advantages, you can either get the finished decks. So at the moment we have, in addition to the one free deck from Dirk Schiemann, we have 12 different theme decks. So checker play against backgammon, bear off, hit loose, leaving the anchor, which we all know is always huge blunder potential.
I just did a video on that, actually.
Okay.
The 20-point anchor. Yeah, it's very, yeah.
Yeah, so these decks sell for €9 each. And at the moment, Dirk is working on the video tutorials. So
that's very good value for money. That's the price of one beer in London.
Yeah, and so the video tutorials, I hope we get it done before Christmas, at least one or two. But Dirk is, as I am as well, a perfectionist, and he said if people pay for the video tutorial, it has to be perfect. So he's not. It's not enough to have a video like the bar split. He wants whatever, but it takes some time. So be patient, and as soon as they are available, this will change on the website. And
yeah, absolutely. And I'm sure this will expand over time. Like this time next year, there might be many, many more decks to purchase, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And there are two more decks. I thought maybe it would be a good idea or interesting that you compare yourself against the best player in the world, against Mochi. So what I did, I went to Backgammon Studio, which is a great tool anyway, and a great platform and fun to play it. But what's also nice that you can download matches. So what I did, I just downloaded the latest, at that time, the latest 100 Mochi matches, analyzed them on ++, and created a deck from it. So this deck, you have 261 positions. So we're Mochi mathed it up. And yeah, the good thing is, psychologically, you can only do better because you have 261 positions where the best player in the world got them all wrong. So if you get only one right, you are better than Mochi.
In that one tiny moment in time and space, yes, yeah. Indeed, yeah.
But if you play a money game with Mochi and lose, I will not cover your losses.
You should write that as a disclaimer, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. And so Dirk, as most of your viewers know, has written a phenomenal Backgammon book, Theory of Backgammon. And he did also 217 positions on his website. You can download the position files. It's all for free. And what I have done, of course, as an Anki freak, I have created an Anki deck out of it.
Wow, so a huge amount of effort here, clearly, that you've put into this.
Yeah, and they both sell for 15 euros. Mm-hmm. So 261 positions and 217. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's my favorite is, of course, that I offer as a service to create Anki decks either from your match files or from your position files. So I can import both. I can even take over the comments. So I think many users are not aware of it or don't use it. But if you are in XG, you can enter comments there, either in position files or in match files. And if you do that, these will get taken over automatically. So you have your notes in the Anki card as well.
Fantastic.
Which is kind of cool, I think. And yeah, so these are the packages. So the idea is there are two versions. There are basic card. And what you have seen earlier are the deluxe cards. So basic cards means you get the position and the result for the current score. And deluxe features are this neutral score, dice distribution, and for checker play, the money game, double match point, gammon save, and gammon go results.
Yeah.
Because so for a normal card, I just take the XG results from the original files I get from the customer. But for these, of course, I have to run XG on a second instance and make the analyzing, which takes quite some time. So roughly, even though everything is automated, a basic card takes it about 1 minute and a deluxe card about 4 minutes still.
Absolutely.
So the computer is quite busy.
I just want to add there, Rainer, that I will put links to your website on the video description so that my audience can contact you if they want their own deck created from their match files.
Yeah. And keep in mind, even though if you think the prices are too high, you have the possibility. I would not recommend that you let's create a card for every error, so to speak. You have 3 different thresholds. You have one threshold for opening, one for cube, and one for checker play. And I would recommend that you put this relatively high. Of course, it depends on your play level. And I think it's more important to have less cards and analyze them more deeply than if you get a card for every error you made. Yeah, what will you do with it? You can filter, but you can save a lot of money if you, for example, take my default thresholds with 50 millipoints for an opening error, 100 for a checker play blunder, and 200 for a cube blunder.
That's a good idea, yeah. I think.
You save a lot of money and you do yourself a favor, but because you have to handle it. You have this lot of data, but if you cannot do not find the time to go through it, it's wasted money. So which means depending on the package, so a basic card costs between 20 cent and 40 cent, and deluxe is just double the price. So a deluxe card is between 40 and 80, depending on which package you get.
Sure.
Okay, then if you have something, I think most of serious players have some kind of database on, and they may think we could make a deck out of it. So yeah, why not work together and collaborate? So my offer is just send me your files. So it can either be position files or match files. I create the deck and we just sell it and make 50-50. That's my offer to everyone. And yeah, coming to an end very soon. What I would recommend, just to be complete here, in Anki you also have the possibility to activate the dark mode, which I think with my black and white design looks way cooler. I would recommend this. And by the way, the diagrams are created by Rain, who has created a lot of XG skins. And he has allowed me to share my skin with all the Anki users, which means if you add your own or create your own cards or extend your cards and you want to look the positions the same, you can download the theme I got from Rain and configure it on your XG so the position diagrams you create look the same like they look when you get the positions of the Anki cards from me.
Yeah.
For perfectionists like me, this is an important thing. So on every card at the end, you have the download link to the XG skin by Rain. So thanks to Rain again that he allowed me to share this with everybody. And never forget what we started with. Every detected blunder is a golden opportunity to improve your game. Don't be too frustrated. Be happy with your blunders because it gives you a good chance to learn. So, and if you have any questions, I'm more than happy to help you out. Just drop me an email at mina@xg2anki.de. And finally, I'm pretty sure Dan will also put it in the video description, the video to Dirk's bar split deck, if you want to see it in one go. They are all in the bar split deck. They are linked, and you can watch them step by step in each Anki card. And also I made several videos on the Anki methods there as well. Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Rainer, for your hard work and your perseverance and determination. It's a really fantastic learning tool. I mean, and the work you've put in is hugely beneficial to the Backgammon community. And not only this, also your channel and the videos you make, really useful resource for people. I just want to add that I will put all those links in the video description that you saw in this presentation. And also, please add comments to the chat if there's things you don't understand or you want more information on, as well as contacting Rainer. You can just put something in the chat and then Rainer can just, respond, to you. But certainly if you're an advanced player or even an intermediate player, then get on Anki. Get started, and then you will notice big improvements, hopefully, in your game.
Yeah.
Rainer.
Perfectly wrapped up.
Many thanks. It's been great having you on. I've wanted to get you on the channel for a long time because we're kind of similar in some ways. We both have YouTube channels. We both want to reach out with 3 resources. I hope to come on your channel at some point.
Yeah, of course you are invited, and I'm pretty sure we find an appointment in the beginning of next year.
Absolutely.
And maybe we play a match against each other and analyze together and talk about your personal Anki experience, because I'm pretty sure that the bug bite you as well, and you want to try it out on your own.
Absolutely. I'm definitely going to be sending you some match files to create a deck. So
cool.
I look forward to having all my old blunders kind of put back upon me. So, but anything else you'd like to say before we wrap this up, Rainer?
I feel a little bit bad that it took so long. So we have more than 1.5 hours. You said I have 1 hour, so sorry for that.
No worries.
But for me, so my longest stream on my channel was a little bit more than 12 hours, I think, in one go. So, so for me, 1.5 hours is how do they call it on YouTube? Shorts. Or
No, it's been great with a lot of relevant and important information, and I think what you've created here is, like I said, hugely beneficial to all backgammon players, whatever level you might be. So huge thanks again, Rainer, and I look forward to seeing you again on your channel, or maybe one day in person at a tournament or something.
Would be cool. Okay.
All the best. Thank you so much.
Goodbye, everybody. And may the Anki be with you.
See you. Bye-bye.
Bye.